Hey guys, welcome to AB Florida Gardening. We're in my backyard, and today I wanted to take you along for some seed starting. Now, I'm not a pro at this. I'm just somebody who's been doing this for a little bit, learned from my own mistakes, and thought maybe I'll save you the time of making those mistakes. Maybe it will inspire you to try it out for yourself, even if you just, try one type of plant and put it in some raised bed or a pot even. So come along with me and I will share what I know, and maybe later I'll get one of my kids to come and help a little bit. So let's get started. Now, first things that you need is obviously your seeds. And I don't seed a lot of things and start them from small. I do a lot of direct seeding, but there are a few things that benefit from growing them in smaller containers first. So I'm going to try brassicas for the first time. I'm going to do the cabbage, 2 different kinds. I'm going to try lettuce. Now I've direct seeded lettuce too, and it works, but I figured give it a try. Most definitely, I start all of my tomatoes. I'm gonna try chard. So tomatoes, I'm gonna start from seed. The little ones, so anything small tomatoes does better here in Florida. Now, maybe in the winter months we'll do a little bit better, but let's see. Basil, I'm going to try basil and cilantro. I'm going to try celery for the first time. I'm going to do chives, and the reason why is because I've never gotten them to come up when I direct seeded them, so we'll try it. Cilantro is a cold loving crop, so I'm going to grow it. And I'm going to start them from seed so I can control the temperature a little bit better, because it's still quite hot here, but it is October, so we'll see. I'm going to start parsley. Again, parsley didn't come up for me when I direct seeded it. And I'm going to try this kale. Now, kale has come up for me one time, and then the next year it didn't, so I'm gonna start it in little baby containers. I also have some onions, which I've never been able to start onions via direct seeding, so I'm going to try them in the starter. And I'm also going to do a little bit a different kind of lettuce. So those are the things I'm going to seed. I have a pen and a label, very important so you don't forget what you are sowing. I have some water. I have some potting mix. Potting mix is really loose. It doesn't have a whole lot of, this particular one at least, it doesn't have a whole lot of bark and things like that in it, so it should do well. Now, you don't have to use potting mix. You can also go much cheaper. This is from the Dollar Tree. I got this in springtime at seed starting mix, so you can do this for $1. And then also, I have bought this seed starting mix, which has done really well for me before. So let's do a low-cost version first though. So there's a couple of things that you can do. I've collected toilet paper rolls, and these biodegrade once so you can literally take the seedling in its little cone and put it into the soil when you transplant them. I've also used cartons, the cardboard cartons from eggs before, also works. Only thing is you do want to cut some holes in the bottom, which we'll do. And I have also used seed starting trays with the respective collective containers, so you can water them from the bottom, which is very important. Try to water from the bottom as much as you can. And for those of you who are living in colder climates, these lids for the top kind of create a greenhouse when you seed early and it's really cold still outside, so you'll be able to protect your seedlings a little bit better. So that's a really good setup as well. So let's go ahead and get started, and we start mixing up our soil. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously open this. Now this stuff is very dry and very powdery. So you're going to be you're going to get dusted up. You see that? The beauty of this is there's a lot of perlite in here. It's very fluffy. So when seeds start sprouting and they start setting out those small tiny baby roots, they need something that is very loose so that they can find their way into the soil easily. You do not need to have fertilizer in this because the seed itself has every nutrition it needs to start a plant. Once you transplant them, that's when you want to start adding fertilizer. One thing I learned, and thank you Garden Answers for that, because I was struggling this for a long time. You want to pre-moisten this. So add your water to your starting mix and your soil, whatever you use, and work the water in. And you want it where it clumps together like this, holds its shape, but does not squeeze out water. So I'm actually taking this seed starting mix and I'm going to add some of my potting soil to it. And you can take most of the potting soil. Just use one that you're experienced with, that you know doesn't have a lot of bark. These big chunks are not good for seedlings, you know. This particular mix that I use has barely any of those large pieces, so it actually makes a really good mix. It's almost like baking a cake when you set up your soil. And literally just mix everything together. And you see how it's like holding its shape? That's how you know you're in a good place, but it falls apart easily. If it doesn't, you need to have this looseness, because oxygen for plants is just as important as water. So you want to make sure it's well aerated. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to put it in these containers. Now, I want to do both the toilet paper rolls and this egg container at the same time, because I want to show you how quickly and cheap you can start seeds. And it does not take a scientist. For the egg carton, make sure you have a drainage hole. And just be careful. Like, I don't have my hand right under the section where I poked the hole. You don't want to injure yourself. I'm going to take a screwdriver for this. And I think I'm going to use these tiny ones for the herbs. And I'm going to use the tall ones for the tomatoes. All right, so that's all done. And now I can just fill it with the soil. Now, when it comes to compacting this, don't push it down too hard, but do make it a little bit firm, but very lightly, okay? As you see, this potting mix actually has very few bark pieces in it. It's mostly really nice loose soil. All right, so the first one is done. For the second one, I'm gonna make myself my life a little bit easier and just drop it in the holes. And you can, here underneath the toilet paper rolls, I just got a tray from Pinch a Penny that you can get for free, but you can use anything to catch the water. For this next round, we're going to try this organic Espoma seed starting mix. I ordered this on Amazon, and I can link the information for this particular mix below in the video description. The cost of this is significantly higher than what I've just shown you. So if you're on a budget and you want to start gardening but you don't want to make a huge investment yet, then go with that method. If you are experienced and you want to really grow for quantity, this might be the better option for you. If you look at the mix, it's actually not much different from what I just made by hand. It's a very loose seed starting mix, but it has some soil in it. So it's not a whole lot different from what I just made for $1 versus this. I think is like $6 or $7 for a whole bag. I am still going to add some water because this is too powdery. It does not hold a shape, as you see. So this is too loose, and I would have to add water once the seeds are in, and I don't want to do that. So let me go get my gloves on and make a soil cake. Now, if you're doing this with kids, they're gonna love this, because what kid does not love to be playing with mud? And my daughter is excited to show you how she puts some seeds into the trays. And I bet she would love doing this too. So here is kind of the consistency you're looking for. It clumps together, but it falls apart easily. So I'm just going to put that into the seed tray. So I use my hand to block the dirt from falling over, and I just push it into the cells. Do that very lightly. I'm just spreading it out equally as best as I can. So now that it's in the cells, I literally just push down a tad bit. So these right here obviously need some more. As you see, they give in so easily, where these right here, that's the difference, you see. So here's the container. This is where I will be watering from. And I just put my seed tray in the container, and when it's time to water, I just lift it up slightly, put the water in, put it back down. And that's all I do. I do not water from the top. Before I put the seeds into its little pods, I made labels for everything that I'm going to see today. All right, my daughter is now going to start helping me. We're going to start with the beefsteak tomatoes. Now, like I said before, you don't do extremely well with big tomatoes. The smaller ones, the cherry tomatoes, do much better for us. So these are average size, you know, like medium size. So those we'll do 2 per container. And just slightly cover them up. Pat it down. Good job. Taking 2 per cell because we don't know how good the germination rate is. We want to try to have at least 1 plant per container. And you see, we're covering it just slightly because the size of the seed. Was that 1 or 2, sweetheart? 2. Okay, so this is the rainbow chart. Now we can go ahead and open it and show us how big the seeds are. The size of the seeds will always determine how deep you have to bury the seeds, and these are much larger. So we're going to do 1 seed per cell, and we're going to have to dig a little tiny hole. With our finger, we just poke a hole into it, right? And then we'll drop 1 seed into the hole and cover it up. So you see, this method is slightly different. And the third one. We are all done. All the seeds are in their pods. Everything has been labeled. This year I'm trying out seeds from San Diego Seed Company. This is a small private grower out of California. They are gardening in a Zone 9B, just as I am. Now obviously California does not get nearly as much rain or has as much humidity as we do here in Florida, but I figured I'll give it a try. You can always look up what plants perform well in your area. You can join gardening groups on Facebook, etc., and get some advice from people that are local to you to figure out what performs especially well. Try to follow the instructions on the back of the seed packet. Growers, after all, know best when their seeds are most viable, when their plants will perform the best, and it is really great to take their advice. They will post information such as how deep to plant a seed, if you can direct seed it, what time of the year to plant, etc. Lastly, if you're gifted seeds, always go by the size of the seed. The bigger it is, the deeper you need to put it in the ground. Time to water the seeds in, and then we're done for the day. When you water your seeds, you want to give it a good amount of moisture in the bottom of your tray. Once it is filled up, you'll feel it's a whole lot heavier. If it's too wet, they will not get oxygen. When they don't get oxygen, they will mold. So keep an eye out for that. That's it from us for today. Thank you for coming along. I hope you enjoyed our little seed activities and feel inspired to start some of your own seeds. I'm going to keep mine close to the kitchen. That way I can baby them, contrary to what I do when I direct seed in directly into our vegetable garden. please follow us if you like this video. We're going to post a few more things with regards to our vegetable gardening this fall. And give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this